We are going to check out some of the best color design resources that every developer should bookmark. These are also free, and I know how much trouble I have when it comes to picking out good colors. Selecting a good primary and secondary color is usually last on my list, but these will make it much easier for you to be able to do that. If you haven't heard of me before, I'm Adrian from Australia. I do videos around design and development, so if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe and we're just going to jump straight into it. If you want to read the full article created by Theme Selection, I'm going to link that in the description below, and it'll have links to every single one of these free resources as well. Otherwise, let's take a look at our very first one here, which is Colors. Colors here is a website called colors.co, spelled with 2 O's. This one generates colors for you, so if you want a palette with different options here, they're going to make something that looks nice for you. You can pick out trending options here, where it has a variety of different ones with how many times each one has been used. And they also have a palette creator here. If you hit spacebar, it'll generate a new palette for you every single time. But a really cool thing is you can grab a screenshot. Let's say you created a website on design resources. You can put that in and it creates a quick palette for you as well. And this is pretty cool. We can view this in a palette generator and we've got all our options there, and we can see this on the full screen as well. This is why Colors is a pretty cool resource. There's lots of different ways we can generate palettes through here, and this is why it's the first one on this list. Our second resource here is a colored palette generator from Muzli. You can visit it by going to colors.muz.li. This works a little bit different. It gives you lots of different options to select out a color that you might want to use, and when you do select one, you get an example of some of the kinds of colors you could pick for this palette. You also get a real-time demo of what this would look like inside of an application, which is the coolest part that I like about it. This yellow looks absolutely terrible, and it probably wouldn't be one I'm using. So let's go back and select maybe a strong blue and test that out. And we can see that this looks much better. We could even use this normal one, or we could use a complementary version, but this gives us a real-time situation of what these colors might look like in our app or website. And sometimes we have to do this to be able to really recognize whether the colors will work or not. I know that I'm always terrible at picking out colors, so this makes my life a lot easier. The options here also allow you to upload a photo. So I've got this photo previously where I did, I think 10 designs in 1 hour. And here we can pull out the main colors from the thumbnail and utilize that for our design. We have again a live palette generated UI here to see how these colors would look like in a real situation. And we've got some other possible colors we could pick out based on this related color palette. So this is really cool. I think this makes my life a lot easier if I was going to pick out a color. At least I can just simply select red, and I've got some examples here, or I could select maybe a purple, maybe not a purple, maybe a dark orange, and have a look at that too. Now, on top of this, we just grab a hex value here and we can adjust it to see how it might look. And we see the real-time updates on the UI here as well. So that's pretty cool. I think we can type in colors as well. So I can type in red here. We've got some red colors. And if we type in, say, real estate, we might get some colors generated for real estate that we can select through our color selection here. So here we've got lots of different photos of real estate, and I suppose if we just select one, yeah, we're getting the different types of palette colors that are being generated from that UI. So that's really cool as well. The third item here on our list is colorsandfonts.com. This is a free resource which has a huge selection of different colors and gradients and even fonts to utilize in different scenarios depending on what kind of website you're building. Let's take a quick look at it. The very first one here is a colored palette selector. And here we get a number of different types of color palettes that we can select from, and these are just dynamically generated and pretty cool. But if you're looking for something more interesting, we've got a gradient pattern selector here too. And this is where we have some gradients with some dynamic patterns applied. So we have something maybe we could apply as a background image or something to give a bit of contrast to the design we're making. We also have some gradient selectors too. I know that selecting a good gradient to utilize for a website or a button or something is really difficult, and this makes it a lot easier by finding two good colors that work together well that you can utilize as a gradient. So that's awesome. We also have a contrast selector. If we select this, we can see which two good colors can work together to create a nice contrast. Now we can sometimes do this ourselves, but having a strong option here makes sure that we're making our website more accessible when we're picking out different colors. We have another option here for material colors. So for example, if you're using material UI, you have all the different colors you can select here with all the different types of strengths. Stuff from say 100, 200, 300, 400, all the way up to like, I think 900 or whatever the color selectors are. And there's lots of different options here too, so that's pretty cool. We also have tailwind colors here, and these also look pretty good. They're similar to how we do in Material UI, just not as many. And we've got a few other things on here too. We've got a font pairing selector, and this allows us to select two different types of fonts that work together. There's other features in this website too, but since we're just mainly looking at color generators and color design resources, I'm just going to limit it to that for the time being. But this is a good one. I would check it out. The fourth item on our list here is htmlcolorcodes.com. This website works very similar to what you see maybe in Photoshop or in the Chrome DevTools, with a nice big selector here where we can pick out different colors. But what's pretty awesome about this is that it's got a number of little options here. We can pull out a different palette depending on the color we select. So we could go with a blue here. We've got different types of shades, but we can also grab out, say, a complementary color for that blue. Or we can get different types of tints as well, so that we can grab these hex values and put them into our app. So that's pretty cool. This color selector also has a chart here. So if we use the chart, we can pick out different flat design colors from here, such as an orange, and we get a number of options here on the top right that we could utilize with this orange. We've got also a material design color chart, which have a bit stronger saturated colors that we can utilize too, as well as maybe something like web safe colors, which don't always look that great, but at least we've got the option there if that's what you need to do. So this is essentially how this one works here. We've got lots of other little options here, like what the name of colors are, but personally I don't really care, so that doesn't matter too much to me. I would mainly just be using the picker here, and even if we do pick this picker, then we could say select out some colors that might work well as a gradient, or just in general select out some neutral tones which also might look good in a gradient. Now, if you're on the hunt for a really good color, there is a website called colorhunt.co. This is a website that just grabs palettes for you and gives you the right one depending on what you're after. We can go for, say, trendy colors, and we can see what's currently trending. We can go for popular colors to see what everyone is picking, or we can just grab some new palettes here and select something that's fresh. This is pretty simple and cool, and a website worth checking out. There's also a Chrome extension to this one, so that if you need to be able to pick out colors on the fly, you'll be able to do that. But personally, I'm not going to be doing that. So check out colors.co. There's not much left to it besides that. It's just nice and simple. But if you are looking for a color, then this will just make it a little bit easier for you to be able to pick one out from the hunt. The sixth item on our list here is a website called palettelist.com. This one works a little bit different because rather than picking out maybe a single color or just grabbing whatever palette is currently available or trending, this one makes you select two colors, and a palette is generated from those two colors. So in this case, I might select, say, blue and turquoise, and from that we've got a number of different options here for different palettes. If these options aren't enough, we can click next to create some more options. Or for example, if we wanted to select two different colors, say maybe blue and green, we get some palettes for that too. So that's nice and simple and pretty accessible to be able to be used immediately if you're just after two different colors. The one thing that I can see missing on this website though is the fact that I can't really pick which two colors I want to use. So this lets me only pick, say, a generic green and a generic blue, but I wish I was able to pick out maybe a specific blue tint or shade and a specific green one too, and grab different options based on those. But still a pretty cool website to check out. Seventh on our list is Flat UI Colors. This is a free resource with 280 hand-picked colors from designers all around the world. These are more specific, depending on what you're after. So we could grab, say, a flat palette, which is here in version 1, with a number of colors we could utilize that have been specially hand-picked to look good on a screen. If, for example, we wanted something a little bit more unique, we've got different types of countries here as palettes too. We've got an American palette, which looks pretty nice and relaxed. Here we've got an Aussie one, which looks a little bit more harsh. And we've got other countries here too. So that's a pretty cool option if you're looking for something that's a little bit unique, but it has some nice colors which have been handpicked. If you're looking for color inspiration, there's a website out there called Colorsinspo.com. This one also is very much like we've seen before. It's a palette generator that allows us to grab different types of palettes. Now these palettes, there's a wide variety of them, but there's a few other cool options here too. There is a color wheel, which allows us to pick out different colors depending on what we're after. We can type in, say, a quad or a complementary color, and it automatically grabs the one respective to that color. There's also a number of gradients which we can grab, and there's a few inspiring colors here, I think. There's also brand colors. So for example, if we were looking for GitHub or Alienware or Amazon, we've got the colors that they utilize. And also with our actual color picker, we've got a few other options here too. For example, if we wanted to use a gradient picker, we can select two colors here, say a blue and maybe a yellow. And this will allow us to have some colors in this range that we can utilize for a nice gradient so that it actually looks okay. So this is Colorsinspo, and a simple but effective website to check out. Now, if you like taking colors to the next level, where you want to be able to have them almost like a wallpaper, there's a website called colorwall.com. This is a website where you can create an account, and you can have a wall of your most popular colors. There's also a palette selector, and you can see what colors are currently most viewed and popular, as well as maybe selecting something like a tag, like Bootstrap, to seeing what kind of colors people pick for that tag. But the color wall is mainly what gets utilized here, so that if you do have some favorite colors, you can put them in here. The top colors is a section that I really like as part of this website. It lists the top 50 colors of all time, as well as the top colors utilized per year, and that's pretty cool. We have another fun color website here called happyhues.co. This one is a little bit different in the fact that when you select a palette, it actually changes the entire web page to utilize that palette. So we could select this dark theme, and this palette with all the colors are immediately applied, so we can see what this looks like. We can select a darker version too, and this actually looks really cool because it has some really dark shades as well as some orange, which brings some life to this design. We can also grab other types as well, like this female looking one or this more male looking one, and there's lots of different palettes here to choose from, but at least you get a sneak preview to what they might look like on a page, and every color does have a bit of a psychology and a different feeling that they're applying. So for example, reds here might symbolize strength and power and courage, and being able to identify the colors and feelings you want to apply is really important for a page. So this is another one worth checking out. If you don't have much time and you just want to generate a color quickly on the fly, you can use the color palette generator here from palettegenerator.colorion.co. And you simply hit spacebar, and every single time you do, you get a different lot of options here. As soon as you hit the letter C, it copies them all to a clipboard for you to be able to immediately use. All of these seem to be pretty good options, and if you're selecting one, you just can get straight into your development without really having to worry about the picking of a color itself. So that's a nice and simple one to get started on. This brings us to our 12th entry here, called Pigment, which is made by Shape Factory. So the website is pigment.shapefactory.co. Now this website works a little bit different. It uses what we would commonly refer to as pigments to select a color that works for us. This gives us a brief overview of what this color might look like in respective to its alternative color. And sometimes different colors like this can work quite well together. This allows us to have a look at which colors we can use in combination and how those colors affect each other from one side of this palette to the other. And this is really useful because sometimes a dark version of one color might not look very well on the light version on another. And these are already pre-selected so that they work on both sides of the spectrum. So that's pretty cool. We can also change the lighting, so we can increase the lighting here to have some more rich colors, or we could reduce them to have some darker versions. And we can do the same here for the pigment as well, where we can increase or decrease that. And we're essentially changing the saturation of the color, but the same principles sort of apply here, where we'll be able to pick out a color that works in both, like say, a dark theme or a light theme, or just together in general. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the color resources that are worth bookmarking. I've also done one on general design resources worth bookmarking, which I'll link in the video up here somewhere that you guys can check out, because that one is quite useful with a variety of different design resources for developers. I've also got this book coming out called Enhance UI, which is designed for developers. This book will cover all the aspects you need to know if you're trying to figure out how to do better design for your websites and apps. And this is still a work in progress, but at least you can sign up for the email there, where you can get a discount price for when it gets launched. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.